really want to know, then come on, let's go. Take a stroll down those...
Let's talk X Factor. What is your X Factor, the thing that's going to be key for West Virginia to pull out a victory in such a vital game against Oklahoma and go on to play in the Big 12 championship game? X Factor for you against the Sooners.
Kyler Murray. How well we shut down Kyler Murray is going to be everything about what we do on Friday. If we shut down him, and in terms of running, I think we'll have a strong chance to win the game. But if he runs it down our throat like he has done all season to every other team, and like every other running quarterback that we faced, I don't think it's going to be good for West Virginia. So if we can stop him from running the ball and keep him more passing the ball, that'll be the deciding factor in this one, I believe.
Right, I like that because if you can slow him down any, just hope to contain him a little bit. You're doing all right because that's really something that hasn't been done. So. Having said that, my X Factor is also a quarterback, but I'm going to go Will Grier, the guy we just talked about. Not an X Factor for the fact that he's going to sneak up on anybody, but the X Factor to me because, one, he didn't get to play against Oklahoma last year. And then also, like we mentioned, it's his last game at Mountaineer Field. It's senior night. He wants to go out on a high note, and I'm sure more than anything, he'd love to cement his legacy as being the first ever West Virginia quarterback to take them to the Big 12 championship game and finish first in the Big 12 conference, and be the first one to beat Oklahoma since joining the Big 12 as well. Put him right up there with Jeff Hostetler, who beat Oklahoma, Pat White, who beat Oklahoma, and then hopefully Will Grier, who beat Oklahoma. So if Will Grier has a great game and does what he can do, and if it comes down to a last minute drive with the ball in Will Grier's hands, I like West Virginia's chances. So my X Factor's got to be Will Grier for this one.
Yeah, I like that too, and he'd definitely be in some great company if he could pull it off too.
Absolutely. So having said that, I guess that it's the moment of truth. Let's talk predictions. Winner goes to the Big 12 championship game, trying to beat Oklahoma for the first time since joining the Big 12. Friday night game in Morgantown, senior night, primetime television, spot in the Big 12 championship game on the line. What more can you ask for? West Virginia's right where they hope they'd be at the end of this season. So what's going to happen Friday night, Stephen? What's your prediction for this one?
I've sounded negative, I guess, the whole podcast about West Virginia, and I've been leaning towards Oklahoma winning this football game probably the majority of the week. But here lately, I've been thinking about it, and I think that the more I think about Will Grier playing his last game at Mountaineer Field, and the more I think about his toughness and his will to win, no pun intended, and also David Steele and some of these other seniors, I don't see them losing this football game. I think both teams are going to have really, really good offensive games, and I think both teams are going to have really, really bad defensive games. But I think the offenses are going to go at it, and I think it's going to be a one-point game. I really expect them to go really high in this one. Both of them get more points than they've scored all season. I think West Virginia wins at 68-67.
Wow. I thought I was going high on the score, but you even went higher than I did.
Yeah, bro, I've got them in a showdown, man. I think it's going to be one to watch. It's going to be one to definitely remember.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of reminiscent of that Baylor West Virginia game from a few years ago with that score, just about, and
it's on a smaller stage, you could say, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Baylor was ranked, but they weren't. It wasn't this type of game.
This is probably the biggest game West Virginia's had since joining the Big 12, and probably the biggest of Dana Holgerson's career, I'd say. But I could definitely see, either team possibly breaking 60. It's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
All right, so having said that, my prediction on this one, it's like you said, It's hard one to pick because what the fact that West Virginia hasn't beat Oklahoma. This Oklahoma offense is so impressive, and Oklahoma State, West Virginia struggled to stop Taylor Cornelius, and Kyler Murray's such a dynamic player, having one of the best seasons in college football history. So it's hard to predict, but then there's those other points that we mentioned that kind of give me hope for West Virginia, and for whatever reason, I've got a good feeling about it in my gut that West Virginia may win this game because I think they can score with Oklahoma, with as bad as Oklahoma's defense is. And I think West Virginia's defense is slightly better, and they could get some stops. So I've got a good feeling in my gut. But having said that, I can't pick the Mountaineers to win this one. I love to. I haven't picked against them all season on the podcast, but until they beat Oklahoma, it's kind of I got to see it to believe it type of mentality. So I went big on this one as well, and I've got it a 1 point game. Oklahoma winning 56-55 over the Mountaineers, but hoping that's not the case, and I truly got a good feeling about it though, in my gut that the Mountaineers are going to come out to play and try and go to the Big 12 championship game. I think they're going to be fired up for this one.
No, I absolutely agree. I'm the same way with you. I didn't want to pick them until they actually beat Oklahoma, but in the same token, I don't see Will Grier losing consecutive games. I pointed that out earlier, and I've noticed that since he's been here, every single time that he's had that type of, he didn't even have a bad game last week. I think, but he lost the game, and I think that eats away at him in his mind throughout the whole week. And I think every single time that he's had even a subpar performance in any game or lost a game, he's came out that very next week and just lit the field up. And so I expect nothing less on this weekend. Absolutely,
especially with as porous as this Oklahoma defense is. I think could be a game where we probably got a great chance of seeing Will Grier throw for a career high in yardage in a game.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be an interesting matchup, and I think some things are starting to point in West Virginia's favor, and also the fact they're playing with nothing to lose. They're gonna put all their cards on the table and go all in for this one, and just lay it all on the line, hopefully, especially on senior night, and trip to their first Big 12 championship game on the line, and they want to beat Oklahoma as well. So hoping for the best, and I think we'll see a hungry West Virginia team.
Absolutely, I think we see. I'll say it. If we had at least within a score in the third quarter at any point, we win the ball game.
I like the sound of that. I do. History can be made in Morgantown Friday night, and hopefully they do it. So I guess that pretty much will wrap up our Game 11 preview and the final regular season game of the season for the Mountaineers, and it's going to be a big one. Any final thoughts before we close this thing out, Stephen?
No, brother. I think we pretty much hit it all, brother. I'll be there. I'll be yelling my head off if anybody hears this podcast, and it's going to be there too. Just be there yelling too, because we're going to need you.
Yeah, absolutely. I should be a packed house and a pretty raucous crowd is what I'm hoping to see. So, having said that, I guess this will wrap up the Country Roads Webcast, our final regular season edition. Hopefully, next week we're doing a recap and a preview again of the Big 12 championship game, hopefully, and not just a recap of this game. That's what we got our fingers crossed for here on the Country Roads Webcast. But thank you guys for tuning in to the Country Roads Webcast, brought to you by Trio4 Productions. We are the official podcast of Almost Heaven Athletics and AlmostHeavenAthletics.com. For Stephen Vestal, I'm Jordan Cruz. Until next time, let's go, Mountaineers.
Are you ready to party? Country Roads.